Hello everyone, we are going to talk about contemporary Indian English writers, and we will start with an overview of this period and their writing. You know that in contemporary Indian English literature, the very meaning of Indian literature is different. Contemporary writers are retracing the very boundaries of Indian English literature, and they are engaging with the forces of globalization and modernity. That means Indian English literature has become more international. Indian English literature is no longer very insular. It has become very global. That is the meaning. Now, at this time, we have politically oriented fiction aimed at addressing the problems faced by Indians in their homeland in the age of global capitalism. So globalization and capitalism are very important themes. They are allegorical, these novels. They present stories which actually mean something else. Sometimes there are fictional retellings of mythology and history also, as we see in Salman Rushdie, Shashi Tharoor, Chitra Banerjee, Divakarani, etc. Chitra Banerjee Divakarani engages with history and mythology. So does Salman Rushdie, even though it is not so mythological. An urban myth is there. The element of urban myth is there in Salman Rushdie also. Then characters are mostly surreal and sometimes fantastic. There is a brooding, dark humor, etc. Expatriate and diasporic or emigrant writing. You know that contemporary Indian literature is highly international and expatriate. People living abroad, who are working abroad, traveling abroad. They are mostly all the writers that we have. Bharati Mukherjee was a first generation immigrant writer. Shashi Tharoor, Amitav Ghosh, Vikram Seth, Sunetra Gupta. Please look up these writers and their works if you don't know them. Rohinton Misri, Jhumpa, Lahiri, Hari Kunjru. Except for Sunetra Mishra, we have already mentioned all of them and you know them. They are among the non-resident Indian writers who explored their sense of displacement. And the sense of displacement is a perennial theme in exile literature. They deal not only with geographical dislocation, but also cultural and social displacement. Now, the writers of this time, they employ complex narrative strategies, including magic realism, to explore the themes of nationalism and identity. Including magic realism, they explore complex themes. Now, authors of the 1950s. We start with Allan Seeley. Allan Seeley or Irwin Allan Seeley was an Anglo-Indian writer. Allan Seeley, the first writer, is an Anglo-Indian writer born in 1951. Like we said, he also redefined Indian literature by talking about themes that were not always dealt before in Indian literature. He also gives a taste of displacement and dislocation in his writing. Because his very identity is in between, liminal identity. Allan Seeley. That is why we have also not heard a lot about him. His one or two books like Trotternama and Everest Hotel are very important. He was born in Allahabad, as I said, and educated in Lucknow and Delhi. He won a number of awards for his writing, including the Commonwealth Best Book Award in 1989 and also Sahitya Academy Award in 1991, Crossword Book Award in 1998. His travelogue, Yukon to Yucatan, which I've mentioned here, is also very important. That is also quite well known. The Trotternama, his first novel, is an epic masterpiece. a chronicle of 7 generations of an Anglo-Indian family. So obviously there must be autobiographical elements. 7 generations of an Anglo-Indian family we see here. He, narrates the struggles, like I'm reminded of Nissim Ezekiel, the struggles of not being 100% Indian. That is so much there in that novel. And it is, as I said, an epic novel. It is a, huge novel because of its spanning so many generations. He has written poetry also. And there is a verse novel also that he wrote, which I have not mentioned here. From Yukon to Yucatan, a Western journey, as I said, is a famous travelogue. The Everest Hotel was even shortlisted for Booker Prize. The Brain Fever Bird, Read an Alphabet. The other novel that I mentioned, the verse novel, is Zalaldinus, a Mask. I will type that here. Zalaldinus, a Mask. That is a verse novel. Because it's experimental, it could be important. All these novels show alienation, quest for identity. Characters are isolated and feeling displaced. That is the hallmark of his writing. Everest Hotel is reminding me of E.M. Foster or somehow. Because people going from their place to another and getting together in a hotel, it is because of a room with a view of E.M. Foster that I'm thinking of it. Everest Hotel is about, again, alienation because of living away from home. It is in the Himalayas. It is set in the Himalayas and about unwanted people living there, not being cared for. That kind of a story it is. Very famous. And it was famous along with Final Solutions, because in 1998, both were very very much talked about. Final Solutions got a Sahitya Academy Award also. And this was about to get Booker Prize, even though it did not. Then we have Mina Alexander. Mina Alexander, 1951 to 2018, is an internationally acclaimed poet, scholar, and writer. Internationally acclaimed poet, scholar, and writer. Born in Allahabad like Allan Seeley, but she is Malayali. She was born in Allahabad to a Syrian Christian family, and they went and lived in Sudan, and then also after that in New York. So like Arundhati Roy, she's also a Syrian Christian, born and brought up elsewhere in India. She was the author of numerous collections of poetry, literary memoirs, essays, and she wrote House of a Thousand Doors, a poetry collection, Night Scene, The Garden, that is one less known poetry collection, Illiterate Heart, Raw Silk, and then an autobiography, Fault Lines. Fault Lines is also a book by Allan Sinfield. Do you remember Jonathan Dollimore and Allan Sinfield? Jonathan Dollimore and Allan Sinfield. They are cultural materialism, writers of cultural materialism. What did they write? Political Shakespeares. And then autobiography of Mina Alexander is also called Fault Lines. She wrote 2 novels, Nampally Road and Manhattan Music. Manhattan Music. Mina Alexander is putting a lot of herself in her novels also. Nampally Road is a story of Meera Kannadikal. She has been a student in England and she is returning home to teach and write. And Meera here in India finds that this is a society full of chaos and unrest. The novel portrays contemporary India and one woman's struggle to piece together the past. Manhattan Music is a story of Sandhya Rosenblum, an immigrant from India married to an American Jewish man. She tries to make sense of her life in a time of turbulence. So again, there is cultural confluence there, and diasporic Indian living abroad exposed to global upheavals. This is set in Manhattan and India. Alexander lyrically and poignantly explores crossing borders. She explores the Indian diaspora, fanaticism, so many typical post-colonial issues. Mina Alexander has written a lot of poetry. There is a poem called Blue Lotus, where I have not mentioned that here. I'm saying this because I don't know if I told you all this already in poetry chapter. Blue Lotus is where she is talking about the very process of writing. And she's going back to her grandmother's house, like Kamala Das. She keeps on talking about her grandmother in many poems. Blue Lotus is one such poem prescribed in universities. Then we have a house of with 1,000 doors. That is also about her grandmother, and it's about globalization. She's saying her grandmother is tradition, and the tradition is bowing before modernity, and the new gods are not even letting the grandmother into the house. There will be a storyline in her poems, even though they are lyrical. There will be something happening there. The Blue Lotus, something happens there also. So she is using it as a pen, the thunder of the Blue Lotus. Okay, right. She has written also many other poems which are important. But that was in the poetry chapter. We already talked a little bit about it. Now coming to her criticism. There are two critical works, Women in Romanticism, Mary Wollstonecraft, Dorothy Wordsworth, and Mary Shelley. That is what the other is, the poetic self towards the phenomenology of romanticism. When I was a student in MA, she used to visit our department every year. She would come home, and my supervisor and guide, who was the head of the department, she was a friend of hers, and they would invite her every year, and she will come and read poetry. And we were all fascinated because her eyebrows are permanently lifted. She will only speak like this. In the photo also, it's like that. And we used to wonder whether she has drawn her eyebrows, because they were like drawn in those days. Whether she didn't have eyebrows, maybe she drew it. We used to discuss like that. She was such a nice, friendly person, but always very dreamy and like this person. Vikram Seth is next. Nampally Road and Manhattan Music are here. Let me read what's given here. After 4 years as a student in England, Meera Karnadikal returns to India to teach and write. Haunting and lyrical, the novel portrays the contemporary India. At the heart of the novel is the gang rape of Ramiza Bey. The townspeople rise up and burn the police station. Manhattan Music, I already talked to you about it. The Indian diaspora in America, that is the main theme. Online people, I hope you are listening. Next is Vikram Seth. 1952. Like Allan Seeley, Vikram Seth has also written a verse novel. Vikram Seth was born in Calcutta, Indian poet, novelist, travel writer, librettist, contemporary travel writing and all. Nobody has done any research. You could do that, and instead of doing things that are undoable, and some fancy topics will be very challenging. In order to do fast, you could take some topic like that. Travel writing and how transnational culture is depicted there and things like that will be easier to do. Major novels are Golden Gate, which is a verse novel, A Suitable Boy, An Equal Music, A Suitable Girl also is there. Say always for these major contemporary writers, look up their Wikipedia and note down more works. I have not put every single work here because the book will become unwieldy and you will become pressurized. But you should write like that on your own. Extra points and extra works. Gold, and also please pay attention to the year of publication. They will definitely ask. Arrange chronologically, Golden Gate, Shadow Lines, Such a Long Journey, like that. So, Golden Gate is 1986. He started publication with Golden Gate 1986. Shadow Lines is 1988. A Suitable Boy is 1993. Suitable Boy 93. You can imagine a 93-year-old man marrying a 16-year-old girl. Suitable boy and suitable girl. 93 and 16. Unequal music. Okay, we'll come to these novels now. Seth's poetry was influenced by Philip Larkin. Vikram Seth wrote, influenced by Philip Larkin. He mocks experimental literature and extreme attitudes towards life in his poetry. He mocks experimental literature. He does not write in an experimental style. His poetry anthologies include Mappings. Who wrote Map Maker? Keki and Daruwala wrote Map Maker. Mappings is by Vikram Seth. The Humble Administrator's Garden. All you who sleep in class, all you who sleep tonight. Beastly Tales from Here and There. Yeah, remember, it is a collection of fables in poetry. But do you know who wrote feminist fables? Which Indian writer wrote feminist fables? It is the LGBTQ writer Suniti Nam Joshi. LGBTQ writer Suniti Nam Joshi wrote feminist fables. Beastly Tales from Here and There is by Vikram Seth. He wrote a book, 3 Chinese poets. He translated 3 Chinese poets. Lakshmi, did you understand? He translated 3 Chinese poets. Who translated 70 French poets? Torudat. Torudat translated 70 French poets. He wrote The Frog and the Nightingale, which is an anti-globalization poem. The Summer Requiem, a book of poems. Poem. You have to read po, then em. Poem. Very difficult to speak, that word. When we speak fast, it becomes poem, and that's wrong. When we try to pronounce it, it becomes poem, that is wrong. Poem, poem. Native speakers pronounce each syllable much more clearly than we do. Okay. Now, who wrote 3 Chinese poets? Poets. Vikram Seth. Cash award and Sakshi, did you know yesterday there was cash award? Everybody is getting. Today I'll ask you. I'll teach for some time and from there I'll ask. Mappings is by Vikram Seth. Mapmaker is by Keki and Daruwala. Death of a Bird is by A.D. Hope and Keki and Daruwala. Ghagra in Spate is by Keki and Daruwala. A River is by A.K. Ramanujan. River Again is by R. Parthasarathi. Dawn at Puri is by Jayanta Mahapatra. Hunger is by Jayanta Mahapatra. Jejuri is by Arun Kolatkar. Chaitanya poems is by Arun Kolatkar. Hindu poems is by A.K. Ramanujan. The Golden Threshold is by Sarojini Naidu. The Golden Honeycomb is by ഏതോ ഒരു novelist. Kamala Markandeya. The Golden Honeycomb. Extra അവരുടെ എല്ലാ ബുക്കും നോക്കണേ. Jasmine is by Bharati Mukherjee. Okay. Online people, are you paying attention? Now, he also wrote two famous poems, two more poems. A doctor's journal entry for August 6, 1945. Which event? Did I teach you Salman Rushdie? I didn't teach to random people. Which event in Midnight Children is represented by mercurochrome? Adam Aziz comes home covered in blood and he says it is not blood, it is mercurochrome. Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Jallianwala Bagh massacre. The Eagle and the Beetle, another poem. Seth has authored a travel book from Heaven Lake, travels through Xinjiang and Tibet. From Yukon to Yucatan is by Allan Seeley. Allan Seeley is an Anglo-Indian writer who wrote a sketch of Anglo-Indian literature. Edward Fairley Orton. Edward Fairley Orton. അയാൾക്ക് വന്നില്ലല്ലോ, ക്യാഷ് അവാർഡ് കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല. ഞാൻ വെച്ച് ഇന്നലെ കൊടുക്കായിരുന്നു, ഇന്ന് വരുമായിരിക്കും. From Heaven Lake, travel to Xinjiang and Tibet is by Vikram Seth. Then Beasley Tales from Here and There is a book of children's literature. Who wrote Luca and the Fire of Life? Salman Rushdie. It is a sequel to Haroon and the Sea of Stories. Haroon and the Sea of Stories. Sequel is Luca and the Fire of Life. Who wrote three Chinese poets? Vikram Seth. Who wrote the cantos, which includes Chinese letters? The cantos is a 120 section epic. അയ്യോ, ഇത് പറഞ്ഞില്ലെങ്കിൽ നാണക്കേടാവും. The cantos, 120 section epic. Wasteland അറിയാത്ത പോലെ മോശ. When I'll tell you, don't worry, you will kick yourself. Ezra Pound. ഞാൻ out of context വെച്ചോണ്ടാ ഓർക്കാത്ത. Cantos, Ripostus, an ABC of reading, a retrospect. Remember, Ezra Pound wrote cantos, a 120 section epic. It has Chinese and Japanese letters. Okay, letters എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അക്ഷരങ്ങൾ. നിങ്ങൾ മറ്റേ ലെറ്റർ ആണെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചോ? എന്നാ പിന്നെ മറ്റേ ലെറ്റർ ഉള്ള ലിയൻ ചി അൽത്താങ്കി റൈറ്റ്സ് ലെറ്റേഴ്സ് ചൈനമാൻ. അതാരാ എഴുതിയേ? ഗോൾഡ് സ്മിത്ത്. ചൈനീസ് ലെറ്റേഴ്സ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ദ സിറ്റിസൺ ഓഫ് ദ വേൾഡ്. ഗോൾഡ് സ്മിത്ത് എഴുതിയതാണ്. ചൈനീസ് ലെറ്റേഴ്സ് ഓർ ദ സിറ്റിസൺ ഓഫ് ദ വേൾഡ്. ഗോൾഡ് സ്മിത്ത് ഒരു ചൈനമാൻ ലിയൻ ചി അൽത്താങ്കി എഴുതിയതായിട്ടാണ് ഇത് എഴുതിക്കണം. He wrote a fictional frame narrative of a Chinaman writing these letters. Who introduced W.B. Yeats to Chinese poetry? Ezra Pound. Ezra Pound was the assistant of W.B. Yeats. Keda. Then, I want to stay here for many days and After that, you'll be completely transformed. Don't stress, I promise. I only need like 4 or 5 days. Portions. Okay, The Golden Gate title is taken from John Donne, written in Onegin stanzas. Stanza of Eugene Onegin. Eugene Onegin. It is by Alexander Pushkin. Alexander Pushkin wrote Eugene Onegin. He is the father of modern Russian literature. Eugene Onegin is a verse novel. It's a novel in verse. And this Golden Gate is taking inspiration from that. It is written in Onegin stanzas. Do you remember which is the verse play by Carol Churchill? We expect the title, Serious Money. Money is Serious Money is by Carol Churchill. Verse play. Okay? Now, Pushkin's Eugene Onegin was translated by Charles Johnston. Okay? It is set in 1980s. It follows a group of California yuppies. They are a bohemian group. Hippies. California yuppies. California or Western end. If this is from your side, the continent of Northern America, settlements in the east, 6 to 8 and California is here. This is north east. New England. Salem, Massachusetts, New York. California is the seat of liberal arts and thinking, sexual revolution. California, Willia state of California. Los Angeles, San Francisco. Los Angeles is famous for Hollywood. San Francisco is famous for these cultural experiments. Fort Kochi 10,000 times expect. Everything is so weird and bohemian and experimental and freakish. And it's such a liberating place, San Francisco. California yuppies and Golden Gate is about these yuppies. And the protagonist, John Brown, at the advice of his friend Janet Hayakawa, places an amorous advertisement of himself in the newspaper. American and Canadian newspapers, every one of them will be like this thick. 90 to 100 pages advertisements. Page, maybe 5, 6, 10 pages. Sexual advertisements. Even in the university, there are student notice boards where they say, I am ready for nude pictures, to spend a night, contact number. It's very common. I didn't go to San Francisco. Even in other places, it's like that. Because they are very cool. This guy, Michael Holm, places an advertisement. Not Michael Holm. John Brown places an advertisement, an amorous advertisement of himself. It is answered by Liz Dorati. Seth introduces and develops a variety of characters united in part by their interest in self-actualization and in part by their closeness to Liz or John. Kore characters who are either like them or somehow connected to them. He brings together a lot of characters like that. Thereafter is depicted the progress of their marriage. They get married, but there are problems until its dissolution, which results in the legal marriage of Liz. After they get dissolved, their marriage, she marries John's friend, Phil Weiss, and their son is born. I'm reminded of Chaco getting married to Margaret, and then Margaret marries Joe. Following his rejection of Liz, John finds a second lover in Janet. Janet ആണല്ലോ മറ്റേ ആദ്യത്തെ ആള് ആരായിരുന്നു? Janet Hayakawa, the friend who advises him. Did you understand? And the two other friends die in an automobile collision. He is himself invited to stand godfather to Liz's son. His ex-wife had remarried, and they had a son, and he becomes the godfather to that son. Ultimately, the world is very small. Everything is coming full circle. Everything is tied up together. We're all interconnected. അതൊക്കെയാണ് അതിന്റെ messages. Okay? I was as I kept quiet, I was thinking of a conversation I had with a business friend of mine. But he's a business consultant. ഞാൻ ഇങ്ങനെ എൻ്റെ കമ്പനിയെ കുറിച്ച് പറയായിരുന്നു. കുറെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളുണ്ട്, ഇനി സോൾവ് ചെയ്യണം. HR മര്യാദയ്ക്ക് ആളില്ല, എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടതെന്ന് അറിയില്ല, ഫിനാൻസ് ഒക്കെ എങ്ങനെയാന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട്. അപ്പോൾ he started telling me a lot of things which were actually helpful. എന്നിട്ട് he talked about progression. നിങ്ങൾ ഇങ്ങനെ കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യണം, 2 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താവും, 5 വർഷം കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇങ്ങനെ. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു stop. And that conversation ended there because I said, wait, stop. I just don't want, അയാൾക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവാത്തൊരു കാര്യം ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു. I told him something that he didn't understand. He must have thought I'm doomed. I said, you are talking about growing like this. Linear, like a man. I want to grow like this. Grow you. I mean, we are all about collaboration and coming back. And I mean, it's life is, you can't just go away like that. You can only come full circle. And I enlightened him saying, that is the woman's way of doing business. Thank you. So life is coming full circle. Avsanam, when we are old, I don't know what. Like people who navigated the world thought that they are going straight. Columbus he didn't know he is going to go in circles, even though he didn't complete the circle. Life always comes full circle like that. I am fascinated by the thought that when we are all moving forward ahead like this, at the end, when we are old, we will begin to see the circles. I hope. So there is that kind of a spiritual edge to this novel. Everybody is interconnected and always coming full circle. Like in Circle of Reason also. Our title is Circle of Reason. Amitav Ghosh novels are everything comes full circle. അവസാനം അത് വന്നിടത്തേക്ക് തന്നെ തിരിച്ചു വരും, അവരെ പിന്നെ മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യും, അങ്ങനെ എഴുതുള്ളൂ അമിതാവ് ഘോഷ്. Unequal Music is set in London and all the characters are Europeans. It is an intimate and internalized story of love and music. The novel's central theme is suggested by its title, which is drawn from a sermon by the 17th century English poet John Donne. The novel's central theme is suggested by its title, Unequal Music, drawn from a sermon by John Donne. Donne's description of a state of being where there shall be no cloud, nor sun, nor darkness, nor dazzling, but an equal light, no noise, no silence, but an equal music. The story is narrated by Michael Home, a professional violinist, and after many years, he meets Julia Nicole, a girl whom he loved before. She's a pianist. They had been once madly in love. Actually, life comes full circle. Again, they meet and again they fall in love. Because they have moved on, correct? They still have very great love for each other. Because she is married. She's going deaf. She's a pianist and she's going deaf. So how do they negotiate that? I'm reminded of a novel where a man is having an extramarital affair with a woman. They got separated because she left him. Again, he comes to care for her. and realizes that she is dying of a deadly disease. Okay, I'll give you a clue. It's by Graham Greene. An End of the Affair. Morris Bendrix. Henry Milesum, Sarah Milesum. Morris Bendrix loved. Jab tak hai, alla. Jab tak hai jaan alle. Adalle. Morris Bendrix loved Sarah Miles. Sarah Miles left him for no reason during the war. And he was so indignant. But then he realizes that she left him because she had prayed to God to save his life. Because he was in a bombing. And finally she dies because she had a congenital disease. And he cares for her along with her husband. Okay? That is The End of the Affair by Graham Greene, the last of the Catholic novels. Brighton Rock, Power and the Glory, The Heart of the Matter, The End of the Affair. Okay. Coming to A Suitable Boy. നിങ്ങൾ limited series കണ്ടതാണോ? കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല? In the years after the partition, കുറെ families ഉണ്ട്. ചിലർ rich, ചിലർ poor. അതിലൊരു പെൺകുട്ടി ഉണ്ട്, ലത. Lata is the daughter of Mrs. Rupa Mehra. And Mrs. Rupa Mehra is obsessed with getting Lata married. Lata kalyanam kayipikkanam ennulla otta vicharana. And Lata is particularly not interested in marrying a man her mother finds for her. Appa she gets involved with a senior and oru Muslim. ആ സമയത്ത് ഖാൻ ഫാമിലിയിലെ. പക്ഷെ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ബ്രേക്കപ്പ് ആവും. ഇറ്റ് ഡസന്റ് വർക്ക് ഔട്ട്. Then she gets involved with her sister's husband's brother. She doesn't get involved. He is interested in her. പക്ഷെ അയാൾ ഇത്തിരി stuck up pompous പയ്യനാണ്. She is not interested. And finally, she marries a very simple, practical man whom she likes. You have to watch the series. We could play something here every day if you want. Initiative. Then, Githa Hariharan, Indian author and editor based in New Delhi. She is a creative writing instructor. Her literary career began with her writing The 1,000 Phases of Night. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I will move from now on. Githa Hariharan, Indian writer. Her literary career began with her getting Commonwealth Writers' Prize for The 1,000 Phases of Night. Her work belongs to the renaissance of Indian English literature, which began with Salman Rushdie's novel Midnight's Children. Midnight's Children began a new era in Indian literature. Her prose is subtle, humorous, and tender. And she teaches, I think I told you, creative writing in New Delhi. In 1995, she tried to open a bank account for her son. Appa paranju achchante signature undengile pattullennu. She went to court. She and her husband went to court. Ennittu adu medicheduthu. The right for a mother to open a bank account for their son. So that was a very big contribution she made to the society. Adu velliyoru step alle. The mother is undoubtedly a child's natural guardian ennu kodadi vidhi ezhuthi. 1,000 Phases of Night, one Commonwealth Writers' Prize. Adine kurichu njan parayam. The Art of Dying. Pinne The Ghosts of Vasu Master. When Dreams Travel. Then In Times of Siege. The Winning Team, Fugitive Histories. ഈ ടൈറ്റിൽസ് എല്ലാം ഒന്നും ചോദിക്കാറില്ല എന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. we will discuss some of them. I have become the tide. Okay, the 1,000 Faces of Night is about the 3 phases of womanhood. 200 വർഷങ്ങൾ കഴിഞ്ഞാലും സ്ത്രീ മാറില്ല. The role of women, the challenges faced by women are kind of the same. The novel is woven around 3 generations of women, Devi, Sita, and Mayamma. The novel brings forth the idea that despite the education and independence that Indian women might acquire, ningalakka educated aanu, you are traveling, you have the freedom to do your job, anganekka undengilum, ultimately we are all trapped in the same chakkar of womanhood and motherhood and patriarchy എന്നാണ് നോവലിന്റെ തീം. The novel brings forth the idea that despite the education and independence Indian women might acquire, their fate is to fall back into the century-old customs, at least to a small extent. അവർക്ക് അതിൽ നിന്ന് എസ്കേപ്പ് ഇല്ല. ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ 3 വിമനെയാണ് കാണുന്നത്. We see 3 women here, Devi, Sita and Mayamma. Devi education കഴിഞ്ഞ് വരികയാണ് to her mother Sita. And then Mayamma is the retainer, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവരുടെ domestic helper, ഒരു ആയ പോലത്തെ സ്ത്രീയാണ്. When Devi returns home from her education in America, tradition and the old order of things are yet to reclaim her into an arranged marriage. As she gets exasperated with her pompous husband Mahesh, she learns the vital duty of any Indian wife. Adenda, to pretend to be a good wife, pretend to love entertaining your husband's family and friends, pretend that you are never sick or angry. Angane you have to be, Shiv K. Kumar parayana, Indian women are like pictures, waiting. എന്ന് പറയണ പോലെ ആവും. അങ്ങനെ pretend ചെയ്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ you are not a wife, you are not a good mother. അങ്ങനെ. So Devi learns the vital duty of from her old family retainer Mayamma, who got married when she was still a girl. She got married to a drunken husband, abused by mother-in-law, husband as well as her own son. നമ്മുടെ ക്ലാസ്സും സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ്സും മാറുമ്പോൾ ഇതിന്റെ സ്കെയില് മാറുമായിരിക്കും, പക്ഷെ it is still ultimately the same. She advises Devi that the key to marriage is the ability to endure and go on. ഇതൊക്കെ കുറച്ചു കാലം മുമ്പാണ്. Things have changed after that. Things are better. Devi's, at least for some classes, things are better. ചില ക്ലാസ്സിനൊന്നും ഒരു മാറ്റമില്ല, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ. Devi's mother Sita follows this theory well in her life. അമ്മ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് docile-ആണ്. All through her life, she fulfills the role of a dutiful daughter, dutiful wife, and dutiful mother. Now, in times of siege, that is the 4th novel, set in the academic and literary circles of Delhi, a world with which Hariharan is personally familiar. The protagonist is Shiv Murthy, a professor of history at Kasturba Gandhi Central University. Jawaharlal Nehru University ആണ് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. He has 2 problems. He has to take care of Mina, a girl who has fractured her knee. Mina എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു student, she is with him now. He has to take care of her. And he has prepared a lecture about Basavanna, a 12th century poet and social reformer. Basava is a reformer that Karnataka people are very proud of. He was a caste reformer, and our Basava is named after him. Basavanna was critical of the caste system. It is certain that this lecture will do the great poet's reputation no good, because there are fundamentalist people who don't believe in caste equality. They are against Basava and all this. And so he is going to get into trouble when he gives this lecture. This lecture is going to land him in trouble. And remember, this was based on a real incident when Professor H.V. Shivaprakash also got into trouble for writing about Basavanna and similar themes. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഇഷ്യൂ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു 2000 തുടക്കത്തിൽ. അതിനെ ബേസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് ഇത് എഴുതിയേക്കണം. H.S. Shivaprakash came under the ire of the fundamentalists. Okay, that is in times of siege. Githa Hariharan has also written 2 other works which you may write down there. One is Gajar Ka Halwa, that's Gajar Halwa. That's a short story that is prescribed in colleges. Gajar Halwa. Like Navina was asking, and you understand from that, please take those PYQs seriously. Pay attention, and it will immensely help you to get a sense of how to study and remember. One trick that they do to defeat you is to ask from some text randomly, which you may not have read or which you may not know. We know so many texts of Tagore, but they will ask some other text, for example. So as much as possible, you should get to know these prescribed texts and all. She has also written The Remains of the Feast. That's also important. So in which novel? It's time for cash award, I think. In which novel do you have a school teacher and a boy ghosts of Vasu Master? The ghosts of Vasu Master. Okay. If I ask you, do not get stressed. It is okay if you don't answer and if you don't remember. This is just a fun way to help you remember that. Because of the slight pressure of the quiz and the cash award, everybody will notice more than otherwise. Okay. Alina Parvin. Which is the autobiography of Mina Alexander? Fault അടിക്കല്ലേ അലീന, ശരിക്ക് പറ. Fault. അടുത്ത ലൈൻ പറ. Fault lines. Fault lines. കൾച്ചറൽ മെറ്റീരിയലിസത്തിലൊക്കെ ഉള്ള ഒരാള് ഫോൾട്ട് ലൈൻസ് എഴുതിയല്ലോ, അതാരാ? അത് തന്നെ, സിൻ. കറക്റ്റ്. ഒരു പറമ്പ് നിറച്ച സിൻ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു അയാൾക്ക്. സിൻഫീൽഡ്. Allan Sinfield. Very good. Which is the worst novel by Vikram Seth? California Yuppies ne vettita ആദ്യത്തെ നോവൽ 86. അയാൾ ആദ്യം തന്നെ അയാളുടെ ഈ നോവൽ കാരണം അയാളുടെ പേര് ഇങ്ങനെ സ്വർണ്ണ ലിപികളിൽ എഴുതപ്പെട്ടു. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് പിന്നെ ഒരു തിരിഞ്ഞോട്ടം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല, ഭയങ്കര ഫേമസ് ആയി. ഗോൾഡൻ ഡോർ, പിന്നെ വിൻഡോ, ഗോൾഡൻ റൂം, എന്തെന്നാന്ന് പറയാ. ഡോറ് പോലെ വേറെന്താ സാധനം? വിൻഡോ പോലെ. ഡോറെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പിന്നെ അതും പറഞ്ഞാലേ നമുക്ക് പുറത്തിറങ്ങി പോകാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. അതെ. ദ ഗോൾഡൻ ഗേറ്റ്. കഴിഞ്ഞില്ല, ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ല. ഓക്കെ. ഫ്രം ഹെവൻ ലേക്ക് ആരാ എഴുതിയേ? യുക്കാട്ടൻ അലൻ സീലിയാണ് എഴുതിയത്. അത് അയാളുടെ ട്രാവലോഗ്. ഫ്രം ഹെവൻ ലേക്ക് ആരാ എഴുതിയേ? ട്രാവലോഗാണ്. ഇതാണ് സിയാങ് കിങ്ങിലൊക്കെ പോയത്. ഗോൾഡൻ ഗേറ്റ് എഴുതിയ ആളുമായിട്ടൊരു ബന്ധമുണ്ട്. ഗോൾഡൻ ഗേറ്റ് എഴുതിയ ആളുമായിട്ടൊരു ബന്ധമുണ്ട്. അലീന ഭയങ്കര ഇന്നസെന്റ്, അതാണ് അലീനയ്ക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവാത്ത. അറിയില്ല? ഗോൾഡൻ ഗേറ്റ് എഴുതി തരാ. ഗോൾഡൻ ഗേറ്റ് എഴുതി തരാ. വല്ലാത്ത തലവേന. വിക്സ് ഉണ്ടാ? ആ വിക്. എന്താ അലീന പറയേ? വിക്. ആ വിക്രം ആൻഡ് വേതാൾ. എന്താണ് കുട്ടി? വിക്രം സേ സേ അലീന. വിക്രം സേ അലീന. ബ്ലാങ്ക് ആയി പോയല്ലോ. വിക്രം സേ സേത്. ആ വിക്രം സേത്. കറക്റ്റ്. ഫ്രം ഹെവനിലേക്ക് എഴുതിയത് വിക്രം സേത് ആണ്. ഫ്രം ഹെവനിലേക്ക് ഇസ് ബൈ വിക്രം സേത്. From Heaven Lake is by Vikram Seth. Yukon to Yucatan is by Allan Seeley. Golden Gate is by Vikram Seth. Sure. അവസാന ചോദ്യം. 93 വയസ്സുള്ള ഒരാള് 16 വയസ്സുകാരിയെ കല്യാണം കഴിച്ചു. എന്തത്? ആ ബോയ്. Suitable boy. Published in? അതെ, 1993. അതന്നെ. 40. നമ്പർ പറയാം. നിക്ക് എടുക്കട്ടെ. Eight 9 4 3 4 2 2 0 4 9. Alina Parveen. Did I ask you, Maimuna? I have not marked here. ശില്പിയോട് ചോദിച്ചാൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ എനിക്ക് കിട്ടിയെന്ന് വരില്ല. ആൽക്കിൻ വന്നപാടെ ചോദിക്കായിരുന്നു, വെറുതെ ആയി. ശില്പ, who wrote Manhattan Music? Manhattan Music. Mina Alexander. Very good. ഒരു കുസൃതി ചോദ്യം ചോദിക്കാം. ഗീത ഹരിഹരൻ ഡൽഹിയിൽ താമസിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. എവിടെയോ ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് റൈറ്റിംഗ് ഒക്കെ പഠിപ്പിച്ചിട്ട്. ഒരു ദിവസം ശില്പ അവിടെ പോയി നോക്കിയാ. അപ്പൊ അവരെന്താ തിന്നാൻ തരാ? Suppose you go to Githa Hariharan's house in Delhi. When you go there, what will she give you to eat? It's a clue. A clue there. It's a sweet. It's a sweet. Banana halwa, milk halwa, cashmere, gajar, carrot. Gajar halwa. ശരിയാണ്. One professor is going to give a speech on Basava. And at the same time, there is one girl who has broken her leg that he has to take care of. Written by Githa Hariharan. ഏതാ നോവൽ? ആകെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളുടെ കാലം എന്നാണ് എൻ്റെ ടൈറ്റിൽ. in times അടുത്ത വാക്ക് പറയേ. In times of കുന്തം. In times of siege. SIEGE. ദേവി സീത മായമ്മ അവരുടെ കഥയാണല്ലോ 1000 Faces of Night. അവരെ പറ്റി എന്താ പറയണത്? അതിന്റെ തീം എന്താണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞേ. What did she say about Devi Sita Mayamma? About their life? അതിന്റെ മെസ്സേജ് എന്താ? What is the ഒരു വാക്യത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ അതിന്റെ തീം എന്താ? Education liberates you എന്നാണോ? Tradition protects you എന്നാണോ? എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും യു ആർ ട്രാപ്ഡ് ഇൻ ട്രഡിഷൻ എന്നാണോ? ആണോ? ഓക്കേ, ആണ്. ഇങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ പറ്റില്ല, ഇതൊക്കെ പറയണ ഉത്തരം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എങ്ങനെയാ ഞാൻ കാശവാട് തരാ? ആരാണ് ആംഗ്ലോ സാക്സൺ റൈറ്റർ? വെരി ഗുഡ്, അലൻ സീലി. എക്സലന്റ്, അലൻ സീലി. Who wrote Nampalli Road? Very good, Mina Alexander. Mina Alexander. Then ഒരു വയലിനിസ്റ്റും പിയാനിസ്റ്റും. പിയാനിസ്റ്റ് is going deaf. ഏത് നോവലിലാ അത്? ബൈ വിക്രം സെത്ത്. ആൻഡ് ഈക്വൽ, ഇനി പറഞ്ഞു തരില്ല. അൺഈക്വൽ. എനിക്ക് ഇവിടെ വരെ കേൾക്കാം. അതെ, അൺഈക്വൽ മ്യൂസിക് ബൈ വിക്രം സേത്ത്. വിക്രം സേത്തിന്റെ ഇതെന്താ, ട്രാവൽ ബുക്ക് എന്താ? ഫ്രം ഹെവൻ വിഷ്വലൈസ് ചെയ്തോണ്ടോ ഓർമ്മ വരാത്ത. ഹെവൻ ഒരു തടാകം പോലെയാണ്, അപ്പൊ അത് തന്നെ. ഫ്രം ഹെവൻ ലേക്ക്. ആരാ ഹെവൻ ലേക്കിന്റെ കരയിൽ പോയിരുന്ന ആള്? വിക്രം സേത്ത്. യുക്കോൺ ടു യുക്കാട്ടൻ ആരാ എഴുതിയ? ആംഗ്ലോ ഇന്ത്യൻ റൈറ്റർ. അപ്പൊ അലൻ സീലി. അലൻ സീലി 7 ജനറേഷൻസിന്റെ കഥ എഴുതിയത് ഏതാ? ആദ്യത്തെ നോവൽ ട്രോട്ടർ നാമ. ട്രോട്ടർ നാമ. ലതേനെ കല്യാണം കഴിപ്പിക്കാൻ നോക്കണമെന്ന് ഏതിലാ? A suitable boy. ലതയ്ക്ക് ഒരു സ്യൂട്ടബിൾ ബോയെ കിട്ടാൻ ഉള്ള ശ്രമമാണ് സ്യൂട്ടബിൾ ബോയില്. മനസ്സിലായോ? ഗുഡ്. അപ്പൊ പറഞ്ഞോളൂ. 8075767891. ശില്പ KS. എല്ലാ ഉത്തരം പറയുമ്പോൾ ഞാൻ 50 വരും. ഭയങ്കര ഉത്തരം പറഞ്ഞാൽ 60 വരും. Okay. അയ്യോ തെറ്റി. Jhumpa. Shashi Tharoor, 1956 born Indian politician, writer, diplomat. He had a long career in the United States. He wrote some novels, short story collections, and lots of non-fiction. Reasons of state non-fiction The great Indian novel came in 1989. സൽമാൻ റസീടെ വന്നതിന് ശേഷം അങ്ങ് ഭയങ്കര എഴുത്തായിരുന്നു എല്ലാവരും 80s. The $5 Smile and Other Stories. Show Business, 1992. Show Business was made into a movie called Bollywood. Riot. It's about Hindu-Muslim violence in contemporary India. India from Midnight to Millennium. Bookless in Baghdad. The Elephant, the Tiger, and the Cell Phone. Pax Indica, India in the world of the 21st century. India, the future is now. An area of darkness. ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കുറച്ച് വർക്ക്സ്. These are some of the major works. I've given a few more here. Why I am a Hindu, The Paradoxical Prime Minister, The Hindu Way, An Introduction to Hinduism, The Battle of Belonging. I don't think they will ask from these major works anymore. 2-3 years ago, they asked about an article that he had written recently in the Hindu or somewhere. K-settle, not in our net. Kerala, Karnataka settle. They asked about some article that he had written. Allan questions I think Kandakla and Orma. The Great Indian Novel is a satirical novel based on the Mahabharata. Adinagata, there is a cantankerous narrator who takes an irreverent tone towards heroic figures such as Mohandas Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru. But I would encourage you to read extra by yourself on Wikipedia or somewhere. കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഭയങ്കര ഇൻഡെപ്ത് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ വേണമെങ്കിൽ ചോദിക്കാം, അല്ലാണ്ട് വേറെ ബേസിക് ചോദ്യം ചോദിക്കില്ല ചിലപ്പോൾ. Unless it is a match the following. The Great Indian Novel alludes to the American concept of Great American Novel and also the rough translation of Mahabharata. Now, Riot, a love story. The novel begins with the death of 24-year-old Priscilla Hart during the communal riots in the wake of the Babri Masjid agitation. Priscilla Hart എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു സ്ത്രീ റേപ്പ് ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. The background is Babri Masjid agitation. The year is 1989. Priscilla Hart travels to India to volunteer with a female population control awareness program, and she gets killed also. So who killed Priscilla Hart? That is the main issue here. The novel is written in a very postmodern manner. There are interviews with the police, government officials, co-workers of Priscilla. We learn of the Hindu-Muslim conflict. So it is more an account of the society and its traumas than the story of Priscilla Hart. It is written through newspaper clippings, diary entries, interviews, transcripts, journals, scrapbooks, and even poems written by the characters. Using different voices, using different stylistic forms for different fragments of the story. That is how it is being written. Now, Amitav Ghosh. Amitav Ghosh was born in Calcutta and grew up in India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Major works are The Circle of Reason. As I told you, the karmic circle, everything coming full circle. Adana ilakada. Debut novel. But ആദ്യത്തെ നോവലല്ലേ വായിച്ചൊക്കെ എളുപ്പമായിരിക്കുന്നു എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കണ്ട. It's a massive epic novel about people traveling and meeting many other characters, this happening, that having, bordering on magical realism. അങ്ങനത്തെ നോവലാണ്. It's an epic novel and it's also a picaresque novel. It is an episodic magic realist novel that follows Alu, the protagonist. His name is Nachiketa Das, അല്ലേ? നചികേത ഭട്ടാചാര്യ എന്തോ നചികേത ബോസ് നചികേത ബോസ് എന്നാണ് പേര്. പക്ഷെ his head is shaped like an aloo, so he's called Aloo. Okay, and he comes to live with his uncle Balram, who is a rationalist. Balram bhayankara rationalist aanu. Balram is always trying to sort everything through reason, and he even establishes a school of reason. It's a physical school, kuttiyalude school, a school of reason, and he gives a lot of importance to the life of Louis Pasteur, the book that he owns. അതാണ് ആലുവിന് ഗിഫ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടൊക്കെ കൊടുക്കുന്നത്. ഭയങ്കര വായനക്കാരനും റാഷണലിസ്റ്റുമാണ്. I'm just telling you the story. Don't try to follow it. When you later read on your own, you'll understand. Balramina, he has an enemy. അവിടെ and അയാളുടെ പേര് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞുതരാം. ബുദ്ധദേവ് റോയ്, ബുദ്ധേവ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ബുദ്ധദേവ് എന്ന് പറയും. In this conflict between Buddhadev and Balram, Balram has a school. There is the weaving industry or textile industry there. കുറേ പറയുന്നുണ്ട് ടെക്സ്റ്റൈൽ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയെ പറ്റി. Textiles are presented as a metaphor അല്ലെങ്കിൽ an objective correlative of colonialism. Because textiles had a lot to do with colonialism. Raw materials were taken from here and they were turned into different kinds of clothes and fabric and clothing. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ പുറകിലൊക്കെ വലിയൊരു എക്കണോമി, സ്റ്റോറി ഓഫ് എക്കോണമി ഉണ്ട്. So there is an in-depth discussion of the weaving industry in this novel. എന്നിട്ട് ഇവർ തമ്മിലുള്ള ഫൈറ്റിൽ it so happens that there is a bomb explosion in the village. അറിയാതെ എങ്ങനെ ബോംബ് പൊട്ടും. And people think it is Aloo who did it. അവിടെ മുതൽ തുടങ്ങാണ്. From there starts Aloo's escape, running away. He is going from place to place, reaches Africa, this place, that place, meets lots of people. And he is also pursued by the policeman, Jyoti Rao. So this is actually a story of an archetypal story of wanderings in search of peace and identity and search of your destination. Adakku oru immigrant experience alle. And also there are many novels like this, like Crime and Punishment or Power and the Glory, right, where this erring protagonist or protagonist whom people think has done a mistake. Adu picaresque tradition aanu. He is escaping. So finally ഇതിനകത്ത് ഷിപ്പ് വരുന്നുണ്ട്. മറിയാമ്മ എന്നാണ് ഷിപ്പിന്റെ പേര്. There is a ship in which they are traveling and they are reaching Africa. Sub-Saharan deserts ilakku ettum. They reach the Sub-Saharan desert, Zindi, Mrs. Verma. There are many characters like that. Kulfi. And then finally life is coming full circle. Karanam the major characters are awaiting a ship to take them home. It is that final journey back home. And they have encountered many false dreams, unattainable goals. Like Don Quixote, he is returning home. Okay? Helpless wandering in the kathayana. Look at the analysis in page number 89, on page number 89. This is a complicated narrative with many plots and subplots. I am deliberately not moving because I don't have that here. Only shadow lines I have. A complicated narrative with many plots and subplots. Aloo's journey is analogous to the diasporic experience. He combines elements of fable and picaresque fiction. Postcolonial elements into the marginalization of Europe, subversion of Western ideas of reason and science. Louis Pasteur is science in Louis Pasteur represents science, and throughout there is the making fun of reason. Circle of Reason and it is a highly irrational novel. Okay, the three parts of the novel are named after three gunas. In the three parts of the novel: reason, passion, and death. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Okay. We had Satvika here. If she was there, I could have told her that you are there in this novel, but she went back. Sattva, first part. Sattva is reason. Rajas is passion. And tamas is death. Let me see if she is there online. No. Now, we come to the shadow lines, 1988. The shadow lines, 86 no? Circle of reason. The shadow lines has two parts, going away and coming home. The shadow lines has two parts, going away and coming home. This means going away from the self and coming back to the self. The novel follows the life of a young boy growing up in Calcutta, educated in Delhi, and his experiences in London. A young boy growing up in Calcutta, educated in Delhi, and having experiences in London. The narrative is based on the memories of the main characters. The narrator travels across time through the fragments of the tales of those around him, unmindful of physical and political barriers. The narrator travels across time through the fragments of the tales around him. കുറേ കഥകളുടെ കഷ്ണങ്ങളാണ് ചുറ്റും. എല്ലാ കഥകളും ഒരു കഷ്ണമല്ലേ? All tales are like fragments. Do you know any complete tale? Is any tale that you know complete? Can any tale be ever be complete? It is all just a tip of the story that we know. എല്ലാവരുടെ കഥയും അങ്ങനെയാണ്. We don't know anything about anyone. Right? Even about ourselves, we don't know. So, the narrator is experiencing all this. There are two families. The two families are the Datta Chaudhurys and the Trilawsons. The Datta Chaudhurys and the Trilawsons. They are friends also. So the story is told in layers, in a mixture of private and public events, including riots, violence, killing, Hindu-Muslim relationship. Set in Calcutta, London, and Dhaka. It was written after the assassination of Indira Gandhi in 1984, which resulted in many riots. 1984, there were riots. The Datta Chaudhurys and the Price, Trilawsons and Prices. They are linked by the friendship between their patriarchs. The personal stories of these families are narrated against sweeping historical events. Oru Midnight Children copy adiyana, same structure, structure copy adichittu, where individual stories are pitted against national upheavals. The freedom movement, the rise of insurgency in Bengal, England's war against Germany, confusing, and also very terrible, like in Midnight Children, traumatic incidents also. ഒരാളുടെ കഴുത്ത് ഇവിടം മുതൽ ഇവിടം വരെ മുറിയും, ഭയങ്കര വിസറൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ട്. The desecration of the Hazrat Bal shrine, the Chinese aggression in the Indo-Pak war, and the communal riots in Gulna and Calcutta. These are the important events that form the backdrop of this novel. Trideep എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരാള്, Thaima, ഇവരൊക്കെ വളരെ important characters are. We have an unnamed narrator who begins by saying this line, in 1939, 13 years before I was born. Tristram Shandy ഒക്കെ പോലെ ജനിക്കുന്നതിന് കുറേ നാൾ മുമ്പാണ് കഥ തുടങ്ങുന്നത്. The story begins many years before the central character is born. My father's aunt Maya Devi went to England with her husband and her son Trideep. That is the opening line. Are you getting me? That is the opening line. Do we have a narrator called Babu here? No, it is an unnamed narrator. It is an unnamed narrator. Who is the narrator's uncle? Trideep. Okay. Who is Trideep's mother? Maya Devi. The narrator adores Trideep, his uncle in Calcutta. അങ്ങനെ മനസ്സിൽ ചെറുതായിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ കാണും. If fragments of this visual should come in your mind, then you will remember. Okay. Remember a boy and his young man uncle in Calcutta? He has tremendous knowledge, Tirdeep, of snakes, of circumcision rites. He has a unique perspective of incidents and places, though he had never visited most of them. He is very imaginative. He is an entertainer. He is doing PhD in ancient Indian history. Okay, Trideep is the narrator's mentor and alter ego. Taima is his grandmother, who is always critical of Trideep. Trideep is in love with May Price, but May Price doesn't love him. She goes after Nick. And finally, all their relationships, families, everything gets broken. Ellam boom. He crushed by history. Taima also is a very powerful woman. She grew up in Dhaka during the Indian national movement, and she is deeply nationalist. My grandmother also had a learned father and a learned husband. So she had a lot of political knowledge, and she was also very politically aware, and also very strong admirer of Indira Gandhi in those times, because ഇതിനു മുമ്പ് ബിഫോർ എമർജൻസി അവർ ഭയങ്കര ഒരു കൾട്ടായിരുന്നു. My grandmother also, like Thaima, was a strong-willed woman whose life is characterized by dislocation, traveling to different neighboring countries due to her husband's job, and finally settling down in Calcutta. Countries ഒന്നും travel ചെയ്തെങ്കിലും എൻ്റെ അമ്മയ്ക്കും ഡിസ്ലൊക്കേഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. Coping with new cultures. Thaima, retired as a principal of a school, disapproves of Trideep's wasting time. Trideep എപ്പോഴും ഇങ്ങനെ ഒന്നും ചെയ്യാതിരിക്കാനായിട്ട് അമ്മൂമ്മ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ, because he is just thinking or reading and not working as such. Ila is a liberated girl. Ilayam kanduda Thaimakke. Thaima hates this Ila also, because she's a very modern girl. She has also lived in many places. She has traveled a lot but experienced nothing. കുറച്ച് superficial ആണ് Ila. She has traveled a lot, but she has not really changed by it. Are you getting me? Thaima thinks she's a whore. ഇത്തിരി കടുത്ത വാക്കാണ്, പക്ഷെ she is very disapproving of Ila, because Ila is another not dressing in a traditional conservative manner. The narrator is sexually attracted to his cousin Ila, but his feelings are passive. ഞാൻ എഡിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഹോർ എന്നുള്ള വാക്ക് മാറ്റാം. അത് ഏതോ എഡിറ്റർ എഴുതി വെച്ചതാ. എവിടെ വരണ? ഇല്ല അല്ലേ? Yeah. She feels sorry for him, but immediately abandons him to visit Nick Price's room. The narrator, he unnamed boy, he's in her room, and he accidentally sees her undress, and he's attracted to her. But she goes into Nick Price's bedroom, they marry, and their marriage ends in disaster. The title refers to the lack of boundaries between peoples and cultures. നമുക്ക് ബൗണ്ടറി എന്ന് തോന്നുന്നതൊക്കെ ശരിക്കും ഷാഡോ ലൈൻസ് ആണ്. The narrator is divided by the shadow lines of borders, but united by experience and memory. And there is no real separation between past, present, and future here. Got it? Because Amitav Ghosh is so massive, you better take a break. We can't deal with him without a break. Regarding I forgot to record. Amitav Ghosh recording. Please get up from your seats. ആ എൽസയുടെ സാധനം കൊണ്ട് പോയ വേഗം. താങ്ക് യു. ആ ഇന്ന് നസ്രീന്റെ ട്രെയിനിങ് വെക്കോ? നസ്രീൻ ഒരു മണിയാകുമ്പോ വരാൻ പറ. അല്ല അതിന് മുമ്പ് 2 to 4 കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അങ്ങ് പോകണ്ടേ എനിക്ക്? 3:30 എങ്ങനെയാ വെക്കുന്നത്? ആ ആ ശരി. ആ ആയിക്കോട്ടെ. അവിടെ നിന്നാണോ? ആ ചൂടോ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാവോ? ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാവോ? അല്ലെങ്കിൽ
ഇല്ല, പ്രീതിയുടെ
പ്രീതിക്ക് ഇത് മതിയോന്ന് ചോദിക്കും. മറ്റേ സാധനം മാക്ബുക്ക് മതിയോ? മറ്റേ കീനോട്ട് മതിയോന്ന് ചോദിക്കും.
മതിയോ? എനിക്ക് മാം എനിക്ക് ഞാൻ ഡോക്കായിട്ട് അയക്കാം.
കീനോട്ട് ആണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു.
ബാക്ക് ഉണ്ടെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു. എന്തൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ.
Dear students, സ്നേഹ ചായ കുടിക്കാൻ പോയവര് വന്നിട്ടില്ല. അതാണ് ഞാൻ കുറച്ചു നേരം കൂടി കഴിയുമ്പോഴേ തുടങ്ങുള്ളൂ. ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളുടെ വാട്സാപ്പ് ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ പറയാം തുടങ്ങുമ്പോൾ.
Okay, ma'am.
Hi everyone, we are back. Did you have a good refreshment? Everyone? Wrong. No, this is correct. Next is the Calcutta Chromosome. Madhiga, I had not recorded criticism because I already sent it to you from Trivandrum. But today I forgot to mention record Amitav Ghosh. I think I'll record it from Trivandrum. I'm going to teach them also. The Calcutta Chromosome came in 1995, subtitled A Novel of Fevers, Delirium and Discovery. It's a postcolonial dystopian novel on the disturbing effects of the internet on people's lives. The internet had just started to come. Antar is an Egyptian and a low-level computer programmer. And he is working for the Life Watch organization. What happens one day? Antar discovers the battered ID card of a long-lost acquaintance. And from there, he is exploring and finding out a lot of things. He comes to the story of L. Murugan. L. Murugan, his acquaintance, and his adventure across centuries around the globe. He was a man obsessed with malaria. We all think that Ronald Rose discovered the malaria parasite and its cure, but here in this story, Murugan knows that malaria was discovered by some Indians. So there is a rewriting and twisting of history in this novel. This comes to the story of a maze, like we see in contemporary Hollywood movies and all. The internet and this information network is like a maze, and they are searching for the maze, and the maze is also searching for them. They also come to, this maze is related to a movement where some people are seeking immortality. And that is where the chromosome comes in. So a group of natives trying to discover malaria parasite, at the same time an international organization changing the chromosomes and flouting immortality. These are all things that happen here. Very dystopian, out of the world experiences. So this computer program is compared to the genetic material in a human chromosome. That is the connecting link. Computer programming is related to genetic material in a human body. Got it? And this is a very complicated story, like of the category of Da Vinci Code and such novels. Very complicated maze, the entire story is. There are lots of clues planted throughout the narrative. It is very difficult to understand and decode it also. Now, the glass palace. It is more like the shadow lines. It is a story of family and generations. The novel examines the political and social issues in Burma, Malaya, and India during tumultuous times. The story is happening at the end of the 19th century. The British is encroaching into the Indian subcontinent. Okay? Now, in Burma, there is a royal family. The king and the queen are ruthless people here. In the Burmese royal family, we have King Tebao and Queen Supayalat. They have killed all their relatives in order to make their own throne secure. And when the British come and attack them, it is impossible for them to win because all their relatives who would have supported them are all dead. They are now alone. And the British easily defeat the Burmese king and queen, King Tabau and Queen Supayalat. They are exiled to India. They go and live in India, and their fortunes keep declining. They used to be supremely powerful, but now they have nothing, and slowly, more and more they suffer. Meanwhile, there is a young orphan boy called Rajkumar. His fortunes are increasing. He is becoming richer and more powerful. He loves a queen's maid called Dolly, and he loves her and marries her also. And they rise in power. So we can see like an objective correlative of human history itself. People who go too high up and become arrogant, fall, and vice versa. It is not as easy as that, the story. There are many characters, too many things woven into these two strands of the plot. It is a mind-boggling narrative of politics and myth and this and that and everything, science and whatnot. For example, there is a very major character called Saya John. His name is John Martins. There is and it is through a woman that Rajkumar meets Saya John, and their destinies become intertwined. And the woman who, for whom he works, has a very, evocative name, Macho. Now, the royal family travels across India. You see the entire India covered here through their experiences. So this is also an epic novel, but it's a science fiction novel. It won the Science Fiction Award, Arthur C. Clarke Award in 1997. So Salman Rushdie വെടിയിലുന്ന ഒരു കഥയാണ് ഇയാൾ എഴുതുന്നത്. Salman Rushdie doesn't have this much complexity. Uma Day, that is another important character. Uma Day is the wife of the collector Day of Ratnagiri. Here, Malaya, his favorite places are Malaya, Egypt, Sundarbans, Far East. ഇവിടെയൊക്കെയാണ് എല്ലാം നടക്കുന്നത് എപ്പോഴും. ആഫ്രിക്ക, ഈജിപ്റ്റ് ആഫ്രിക്കയിലാണല്ലോ. Now, I just put the detailed story somehow. It is impossible to write the story of these novels. But somehow I made up the story and put it in points so that you will see the complexity of it if you have not read it. If you have read it, I appreciate you. The term glass palace refers to the literal palace of Mandalay that the royal family lived in. And it also reveals the fragility of honor and destiny. The royal family's honor is so fragile, it breaks down so easily, like their glass palace. That is why this novel is titled Glass Palace. Now, the hungry tide. I have not got all these here in detail. The hungry tide, just pay attention and look at your book. It reflects the author's own travels in traverses into sociology and ethnography. He actually went and lived in places in Hungry Tide, in an antique land. And also all his novels, you see his expertise in history, ethnography, anthropology, etc. This novel is set in the Sundarbans and is an intermixing of colonial history and gender issues and local history with nature concerns. Environmentalism is there in all his novels, and it only increased towards the end of his career. Kanai Dutt is a middle-aged businessman from New Delhi. He encounters Piali Roy or Pia, a young marine biologist from Seattle. This Piali Roy will appear in other novels also later. So Kanai Dutt encounters Pia. Okay. They are on a train to Canning in southeastern India. And from there, they will go to Sundarbans Islands. You know that the Sundarbans is near the West Bengal region and it is covered with mangroves. Pia has to study the river dolphin there. That was asked, what does she study and all, they have asked already. Kanai is going to another place called Lusibari, one of the remote Sundarban islands. His aunt is Neelima. Neelima has already asked Kanai Dutt to do something for her, which is to decipher the notebook left behind by Neelima's husband, Nirmal Bose. Neelima Bose wants Kanai Dutt to decipher Nirmal Bose's notebook. Nirmal had died under mysterious circumstances during a rebellion 30 years earlier. So his notebook was there for a long time. Now, Neelima wants to decipher this notebook. So this is set against the political issues related to the environment. The environment belonged originally to the natives who lived there, the Adivasis. The government wants to take control of it and they want to rule over these people, or they just got wiped out, these natives or the Adivasis, or they got cruelly displaced. So anybody who protested against them were branded as Naxalites and killed and all that. And a lot of people got killed in such massacres many times in the Northeast and West Bengal region. And this particular massacre is called the Morid Chapi massacre. If you turn to page 94, second column, we can first read about it. The Morid Chapi was declared as a reserve forest. That means nobody can live there. Nobody can take branches of trees, etc. for firewood. Nobody can use the resources. So suddenly one day, the Adivasis are deprived of their livelihood without being given enough recompense. So on January 24, 1979, prohibitory orders were issued for the island of Morid Chapi by the communist government. You can't enter that forest, etc. 30 police launches means motorboats, started patrolling the island, preventing poor Dalit refugees and natives who were usually fishermen from leaving the island. They were trapped in there and eventually they will disappear also. Within a single night, 36 people were shot dead. Huts were razed down. Women were raped, thousands arrested, and fisheries in that region was destroyed. Suddenly, one fine morning, they all became criminals and anti-nationals. However, Nirmal felt that it was his duty to support the settlers or squatters. And he did not know that in doing so, he would lose his life, thus deserting his wife who loved him. So this is what happened in the Morid Chapi massacre. So the bloody reality of development is what is there in Nirmal's notebooks. Now Pia is there in Sundarbans. She makes arrangements for her studies. She hires the required forest guides and also hires a boat. However, things go wrong. She falls into the crocodile-infested water and is rescued by a fisherman named Fakir. There are so many fisherman-related narratives that are highly political and that are about, the subaltern, voiceless margins. That itself is across the world. That itself is a category of fiction or a genre that you can look at. Chingozi Obioma, the famous African writer, recent writer, he has written The Fisherman, one novel. And this novel and many such narratives are there that will go together. to form a research project, and fisherman's culture, sailors' culture, all these are already written about. And you can connect it with the politics, and it's a beautiful topic. It can come broadly under blue humanities also, because of the ocean, and blue humanities is about people who inhabit the oceans and they live by the ocean, etc. So Pia makes arrangements and she meets Fakir. She stays with Fakir and his young son Tutul on his small boat rather than return to the guides. So she is now with Fakir. The guides are excessively interested in her money and her equipment. Fakir speaks no English and cannot read or write, but Pia is able to communicate with him. So interestingly, Pia is exploring the present, while Kanai is exploring the past. The backstories of Kanai and his uncle and aunt are very important. I'm not reading everything. This story of Piali and Nilima will continue later also in other books. The narrative switches between the adventures of Pia and Fakir. I'm reading from page 94, first column. There are chapters devoted to the adventures of Pia and Fakir in the fishing boat and the past. So Pia, Fakir, Kanai, that is one narrative. The past is another narrative. Some of the Lucibari chapters are notebook entries also. We see Kanai's past also, and we see references to Bon Bibi and her legend, which eventually Amitav Ghosh would write in another book also. So Bon Bibi is a local legendary deity in the Sundarbans region. Fakir's mother is Kusum, and we get to see the story of Kusum also. Her father was dragged away by a tiger. Bon Bibi ignored her calls for help. A man sold her mother into prostitution, and so on and so forth. The first section of the novel is titled The Ebb or Bhatta. That has come in net or some exam, set or some exam. First section is the ebb. The second section is the flood or jowar. And the flood also metaphorically refers to the human condition. People caught in internal conflicts and governmental tyranny and things like that. And Pia develops a crush on Fakir. So how human lives and nature and history are all inextricably intertwined. That is what all these people are doing. Shashi Tharoor and Salman Rushdie started it. Then Amitav Ghosh and Arundhati Roy. So man or nature, that story is there. To Pia, the claims of the environment. I'm reading second column, last page number 94. The claims of the environment came before the needs of the people. She comes across some villagers torturing a man-eating tiger. All these are, stories that are still very relevant, because these days also man-eating tigers have been tortured and all. And Pia attempts to intervene and save the tiger. Fakir has to drag her away. So these ethical questions are there. Talk about epic narratives. I don't even know how he wrote Sea of Poppies, River of Smoke and Flood of Fire. Oh my God. Again, epic journeys in all three of them. You can't even write one like that, or even read, forget writing. This guy is crazy. He's writing so much like that. Epic novel set in the mid-century before the mutiny of 1857. Shh. You know why? Sometimes writing like this, people are aiming for Nobel Prize. Maybe he'll get. Places are Bihar's opium plantations and factories. Have you been to Bihar's opium plantations and factories? No. Then the Indian Ocean. Ibis is a ship sailing to Mauritius with migrants. ഇതൊക്കെ ഭയങ്കര ട്രെൻഡിയാണ് ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ. These indentured laborers, coolies. Coolie woman ആരാ എഴുതിയ? That was asked 3 years ago. American, Indo-American writer Chitra Banerjee. Coolie woman. Coolie woman by Chitra Banerjee. It's about indentured labor. Chitra എങ്ങനെ എഴുതാ? Gautra. Chitra Banerjee's very famous book it is Coolie Woman. അപ്പൊ ഇൻഡെൻജേർഡ് ലേബർ നറേറ്റീവ്സ് എന്ന് ഒരു നറേറ്റീവ്സ് ഉണ്ട് വേണമെങ്കിൽ കുറെ ബുക്സ് ഉണ്ട് അങ്ങനെ. INDENTURED. INDENTURE ഇൻഡെൻജേർഡ് ലേബർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ സ്ലേവറിയുടെ സമയത്ത് അവരിൽ സ്ലേവ്സ് അല്ലാത്തവരാണ് ഇൻഡെൻജേർഡ് ലേബറേഴ്സ്. ദേ ആർ ടേക്കൺ ദേ ആർ ബോണ്ടഡ് ലേബർ. അവരവിടെ കിടന്ന് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യണം, എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെറിയ കാശ് കൊടുത്താലായി. Even in the Middle East, many Indians have worked like that only, as we know from narratives of that also. അവർക്ക് ചോദ്യം ഉത്തരവൊന്നുമില്ല, ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ജോലി ചെയ്യിപ്പിക്കും. റൈറ്റ്. സോ അതൊരു related to colonialism and racial discrimination ആണ്. Read about it if you are not aware. It is very important area. So ഇവിടെ Sea of Poppies, it is a historical saga of a group of diverse people. They are on a perilous journey in the Indian Ocean aboard a ship called the Ibis. The characters are like poppy seeds emerging in large numbers from the field to form a black sea. The characters are the poppy seeds. ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് പുറ്റുപോലെ ഇങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടാവുക ആൾക്കാർ അവിടെ അവിടെ ആയിട്ട്. Emerging in large numbers from the field to form a black sea. All the Indian indentured laborers form a black sea. Each character has insecurities and uncertainties about the future, bonded by indentureship, slavery, race, danger, and death. The truth is, sir, that men do what their power permits them to do. Famous lines either. We are no different from the Pharaohs or the Mongols. നമ്മളും അതേപോലെ imperialist ആണ്. We are equally imperialist. The only difference is that when we kill people, we feel compelled to pretend that it is for some higher cause. When we kill people, yeah, we had to kill, it is to protect something or the other. എന്നൊക്കെയാണ് നമ്മൾ pretend ചെയ്യുക. പക്ഷെ what we do is as evil as what anybody has done. It is this pretense of virtue, I promise you, that will never be forgiven by history. You kill thousands of people in the name of religion, in the name of nation, in the name of something or the other. All man-made excuses. And he's saying it's that will never be forgiven by history. I love it. Didi is the name of the protagonist. Didi is a high-caste poppy seed farmer. It's nice, but it becomes more and more complicated. അവസാനം ഒന്നും മനസ്സിലാവില്ല, എന്തൊക്കെ എവിടെയൊക്കെ പോയി. ഞാൻ കുറെ നോട്ട്സ് ഒക്കെ എഴുതാൻ നോക്കി. Beyond notes it goes. It's like an ocean. Literally, ആ ഫീലിംഗ് ആണ് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടുക. എത്ര പറഞ്ഞാലും പിന്നെ ഇങ്ങനെ വേവ്സ് ഇങ്ങനെ വന്ന് വീണോണ്ടിരിക്കും, നമ്മൾ അടിച്ച് പൊട്ടിച്ച് കളയും. ഞാൻ അവസാനിപ്പിച്ചു, കാരണം എനിക്ക് പഠിപ്പിക്കാണ്ടായിരുന്നു. Sea of Poppies ഏതോ കർണാടക PSC എക്സാമിന് എന്തോ. എന്തിനാ ഇതൊക്കെ പ്രിസ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായി. ഒരൊറ്റ മനുഷ്യൻ പോലും വായിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാവില്ല. I mean students. ഭയങ്കര ഹൈ റീഡേഴ്സിന് മാത്രമേ ഇതൊക്കെ വായിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. And it will be years before many people reach there. ഞാൻ അവിടെ എത്തിയിട്ടില്ല. I have read 100 Years of Solitude. I have read Midnight Children. പക്ഷെ it took me years to understand. It is not suddenly ഒരു പരീക്ഷയ്ക്ക് അങ്ങനെ പഠിച്ചെഴുതാനൊന്നും പറ്റില്ല. Anyway, ഞാൻ എന്തൊക്കെയോ കിട്ടിയതൊക്കെ കൂടി ഇവിടെ ഇട്ട് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. There are luckily people who might have read it who wrote summaries. So Didi is a high-caste poppy seed farmer. ഈ poppy seeds in the history അറിയാമല്ലോ. The British cultivated poppy seeds. They took it and sold it to China in return for Chinese silk and and so many goodies from China. China in the rich sanangala. And what they gave in return is opium. ഭയങ്കര വിലക്ക്. അപ്പൊ എന്തായി, അവർക്ക് പുല്ലുവില ഇവിടെ പുല്ലുപോലെ കിടക്കുന്ന പുല്ലാണ് ശരിക്കും. അപ്പൊ എക്സ്പ്ലോയിറ്റഡ് ആയ ഭയങ്കര എക്സ്പ്ലോയിറ്റേഷൻ അല്ലേ. എന്നിട്ട് ചൈനീസ് എല്ലാവരും ഇങ്ങനെ ലതാർജിക, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവർ ഇത്തിരി ലതാർജിക്ക, അവർ കുറച്ചും കൂടി അങ്ങനെയായി. അവസാനം ഓപ്പിയം വാഴ്സായി അത്, ഇത് സ്റ്റോപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട്. സോ ദീദി അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു പോപ്പി സീഡ് ഫാമറാണ്. ഭയങ്കര വാല്യൂ ആയിരുന്നു പോപ്പി സീഡ്സിന്. അപ്പൊ ഇത് കാരണം she lives in a village 400 miles from the Indian coast. A simple, pious, caring woman who has never seen the sea or a ship. One day she has a vision of a sailing ship. അതൊരു എപ്പിഫനിക് മൊമെന്റ് ആയിരുന്നു. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് കുറെ സംഭവങ്ങളുണ്ടായി. അവസാനം ആ ഷിപ്പ് ലെവലിൽ എത്തിപ്പെടും. ആ ഷിപ്പിലെ മറ്റാൾക്കാർ ആ ഷിപ്പ് ചെല്ലുന്ന സ്ഥലങ്ങൾ ഇങ്ങനെ, she reaches the ibis ship. There are many other characters in the ship. Where the ship is going, indentured laborers are all of them in the ship. Wherever they are going, what are their stories? അങ്ങനെ കഥകളുടെ ഒരു കഥകൾ ഇങ്ങനെ കെട്ടി മറിഞ്ഞ് ഇങ്ങനെ ലൈക്ക് ഡെഡ് ബോഡീസ് ഓഫ് ദ പാസ്റ്റ്. നമ്മുടെ മിഡ് നൈറ്റ് ചിൽഡ്രനിലെ പിരമിഡ് ഓഫ് ഫ്ലഷ് പോലെ ഇങ്ങനെ മുറിഞ്ഞും പറന്നും ഒക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെ ഇൻകംപ്ലീറ്റ് സ്റ്റോറീസ് ഓഫ് ട്രോമ ആൻഡ് ടോർച്ചർ. so massive and unspeakably disturbing. Adani novel. The ship in Didi's vision turns out to be the Ibis, a former slave ship. ഞാൻ താഴെ 95 first column താഴെയാണ് വായിക്കുന്നത്. I'm reading from 95 first column. End. Ibis is now in poor condition. It has been sold to Benjamin Burnham, a shrewd evangelist opium trader. It is in fact a epic novel. Every epic novel is in fact the saga of human history itself. How we cheat each other and exploit each other, how we help each other, how we redeem ourselves and each other. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള thousands of things strewn together to weave a rich tapestry of human history. എല്ലാത്തിലും നിങ്ങളും ഉണ്ട്. In every one of them, you are also there. I am also there. The ship is being taken to Calcutta for refitting. The voyage is hazardous because of the ship's condition. The people on board the ship represent the microcosm of the world, a multi-layered society, a multicultural society. Zachary Reed is an American mulatto freedman. Then Reed is dressed up as a gentleman, Zachary Maloon. പിന്നെയും കുറെ ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ഇത് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് നെറ്റിന്. രാജ നീൽ രത്തൻ ഹൽദർ, who is he, where is he, the novel, something like that they have asked. He's a wealthy Raja, heir to Rashkali estate. Even if you don't follow everything, it doesn't matter the story. അത്രയ്ക്ക് കുഴപ്പമില്ല. പക്ഷെ you should see through this, means look through this. ഇത്തരം ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ഉള്ളതൊന്നും നോക്കി വയ്ക്കണം. എലോകേശി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒരു മിസ്ട്രസ് ഉണ്ട് ഇയാൾക്ക്, രാജ നീൽ രത്തൻ ഹൽദറിന്. He is ruling through his angels and he is full time engaged in flying kites, seeking pleasure from Elokeshi. അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ക്യാരക്ടർ. പിന്നെ ജോഡു, a Muslim freshwater boatman, Paulette, a French orphan. Obviously they are not important, that's why I've given them small. Their journey to Mauritius, അതൊക്കെ important ആവാം. Where do they go? അതൊക്കെ they can ask you in statement type questions. There is so much violence and murder at the end also. The community falls apart at the end. River of Smoke is no less. It is also similarly a novel of violence and trauma. 3 ships are caught in a raging storm in the Andaman Sea. The Anahida, owned by Bahram Modi. Red Ruth, and the ibis. Anahita, Red Ruth, and the ibis. So remember the names of the ships and all. Idinathil Parsi opium merchant is there called Seth Behram. Neil Ratan Afat, adun choikkam, AHFATT, name of a man. In the third book, it's again opium wars, and that is the least important and least prescribed. Mostly prescribed is Sea of Poppies. Gun Island is a novel written in first person. Dinanath Datta protagonist. Dinanath Datta is a dealer in old books, antique books. He comes to Kolkata annually and he's looking for a female companion. In this novel, Gun Island, we have Piali and Nilima. Piali and Nilima are there in this novel. Jungle Nama is a graphic novel and a verse novel illustrated by Salman Toor, the Pakistani artist. Pakistani American artist. They can ask you this question. It's a verse adaptation of a famous Bengali tale about Bon Bibi. And it is written in a meter similar to Dvipodi Poyar meter. Like a couplet, something it is. So that's a magnificent writer. Okay. Now Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. Also very important. Indian American writer. Divakaruni's works are largely set in India and the United States. The Mistress of Spices, Sister of My Heart, The Vine of Desire, Queen of Dreams, One Amazing Thing, Palace of Illusions, and Oleander Girl. These are the major novels. She has written more also. Independence. She has written a short story collection called Arranged Marriage. A short story collection called Arranged Marriage. Brotherhood of the Conch series is there. And she has also written much poetry. Palace of Illusions is a retelling of the Mahabharata from Draupadi's perspective. Palace of Illusions. The Forest of Enchantments is a retelling of the Ramayana. Mistress of Spices is set in contemporary Oakland in California. A magic realist novel. Tilo or Tilotama is a titular character. She is the mistress of spices, a shopkeeper and an immigrant from India. Her life changes when she falls for an American man named Doug. She falls for an American man named Douglas Nalana Doug. Unfortunately, spices in Adishtavilya. The spices are not happy with her being in love. The spices start inflicting punishment on her. Magic realism it is. The spices are punishing her. Finally, she destroys her own shop and she's helped by Doug to rebuild her life. അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു കഥയാണിത്. So it is about how what we nurture in our life can destroy us. അങ്ങനെ ആവാം. Yeah, movie is there. Yes. Sister of My Heart is a novel that has a sequel, Vine of Desire, and a sequel. The story is about family, friendship, and the bond between Anju and Sudha, two sisters. Sister of My Heart. The girls narrate the story of their lives. Some of the characters immigrate to the United States, but most of the story is set in India. Two books are there. Book one is Princess in the Palace of Snakes. Princess in the Palace of Snakes. Anju and Sudha till their marriage. Sudha is a storyteller here. She dreams of designing clothes and having a baby. പക്ഷെ Anju is quite the opposite. She has a fierce spirit and longs to study literature in college. The girls are caught skipping school, and also due to a health scare, changes the plans of college to plans of marriage. Health scare and the in book 2, Anju and Sudha face a lot of upheavals. The sisters are finally united. I have not read this story. I somehow feel it's one amazing thing. And I would have the next one. The novel is about a group of 9 people trapped in a visa office at an Indian consulate. Even lots of white people read Chitra Banerjee Divakarani. Even if you ask some random white person who is an avid reader, they might, actually one woman said that to me, that's why I'm saying that her favorite writer is Chitra Banerjee Divakarani. Because of this Orientalist charm of her magic realist novels, it's like an escape for them into the fantasy world of the East. These writers are also cleverly selling their identity as Orientals. 9 people are trapped in a visa office at an Indian consulate after a massive earthquake hits an American city. So how they are trying to survive, that is a main theme. Among them, 2 visa officers are on the verge of an adulterous affair. A Chinese Indian woman is also there. Her gifted granddaughter, teenage granddaughter Lily, an ex-soldier, an Indian American girl Uma. She is unhappy that her parents are returning to Calcutta after 20 years. Tariq, a young Muslim man, angry with the new America, and an enraged and bitter elderly white couple. As they wait to be rescued, they begin to tell each other stories of their lives. Somewhat a cliched framework now. There are so many books and movies like that. People coming together, and then even Money Heist was like that a little bit. So that is one amazing thing. Forest of Enchantments, the Forest of Enchantments and Palace of Illusions are mythological retellings. Rani, Last Queen. That is about Rani Jindan. Then independence, set against India's independence. That reminds me, which are the partition novels that we talked about today? Tell. Shadow Lines. Any other partition novel? The Suitable Boy. It is set against partition just after that, and some aftermath of the partition is very much there. Who wrote the partition novel Ice Candy Man? Bapsi Sidhwa. Who wrote the partition novel Clear Light of Day? Anita Desai. Who wrote the partition novel A Bend in the Ganges? Manohar Malgonkar. Very good. Who wrote the partition novel Twilight in Delhi? Ahmad Ali. Ahmad Ali. Who wrote the partition novel Azadi? Chaman Nahal. Partition narratives in an edition. There's an edition of partition narratives called The Other Side of Silence by Urvashi Butalia. Okay. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വരാൻ പോകുന്ന ഒരു ഭയങ്കര മാസീവ് ബുക്കിന്റെ എഡിഷൻ ലാസ്റ്റ് പേജസ് ആയത്. literary master reference. ശരിക്കും ഒറിജിനലി അതിൻ്റെ പേര് ലാസ്റ്റ് മിനിറ്റ് റിവിഷൻ എന്നായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഇച്ചിരി കൂടെ ഒന്ന് LMR ആയിപ്പോയി. പിന്നെ അത് ഒറിജിനലി വാസ് കോൾഡ് ലാസ്റ്റ് മിനിറ്റ് റിവിഷൻ. But then we wanted to make it sound a little higher. So LMR, literary master reference. But it's absolutely master reference. I am working on it. It will come next month for sure. Last. Right. Next is Mukul Keshavan. Indian historian, novelist, political and social essays. He is distinct from other writers as his prose is a sparkling, accessible, aphoristic and elegantly serious thinking and comedy. Looking Through Glass is about a narrator falling through a mail train and reaching the past. Light. No, some juice or something. But that juice you're bringing is, no, I don't want it. It is not fresh juice. I want fresh juice. Then I'll buy you. Only fresh juice, nothing else. No sugar. Mango cannot be fresh juice because there are no mangoes. Chiku cannot be juice, it is shake. Pineapple. Or orange. Orange. Okay. So we were talking about Mukul Keshavan. Looking Through Glass, one guy falls into 1942. He meets his own grandmother as a young woman. And he pretends amnesia and he is taken in by a Muslim family. That was the day of the Quit India resolution. So the narrator is feeling only useless in that political moment. He can't do anything about it. Next is, he also wrote Men in White, a book of cricket. What are some other books on cricket that you know? Did you watch my sports Instagram live? Who wrote Selection Day? Selection Day. It is Arvind Adiga. Who wrote the book about Pradeep Madhavan? Pradeep Matthew. I mean Shahan Karunatilaga. Shahan Karunatilaga has written a book on cricket. The Booker Prize winner from Sri Lanka. The 7 Killings of Mali Almeida, that is his major work. 7 Moons, Killings, 7 Moons of Mali Almeida, Shahan Karunatilaga. And PL Postcolonial literature. Cricket. Did you know Ramachandra Guha he is a very famous historian, as you know. He was in the cricket, in Indian, some cricket association is a head there. Cricket Control Board. And he has written a book on cricket, In the Corner of a Foreign Field. Ramachandra Guha. That's a very important thing. In the Corner of a Foreign Field. So who wrote Men in White, a book on cricket? Book of cricket. Mukul Keshavan. Who wrote Selection Day? Arvind Adiga. Great. Looking Through Glass. David Davidar. More than a writer, he is a magnificent publisher. He has brought up many new voices. Many new authors came into prominence because of David Davidar. Writer from Tamil Nadu, Kanyakumari district. He's the co-founder of Aleph Book Club, or Book Company, sorry. The House of Blue Mangoes, The Solitude of Emperors, Ithaca are some of his major works. The House of Blue Mangoes spans nearly half a century and chronicles the life of 3 generations of the Dorei family. They struggle to preserve tradition and rise to the challenge of change. The Dorei family's livelihood comes from their groves of mango trees. ഈ മാംഗോ ഒരു ഭയങ്കര സിമ്പിൾ ഓഫ് ട്രഡിഷൻ, ഇന്ത്യൻനെസ്, അങ്ങനെ മാംഗോ നറേറ്റീവ്സ് തന്നെ കാണണം. Obviously, mango, the history of mango in literature. I'm going to, a couple of years ago, at a few colleges, on the BMC, പിന്നെ ഒന്ന് മാർവാനീസ് കോളേജിലായിരുന്നു. We organized a workshop. എൻ്റെ ഒരു pet idea ആണിത്. This is my pet idea. I have a Bulgarian friend, and I found that they are all bread makers. Everyday basis, ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് bread ഉണ്ടാക്കും. And then my idea came out. We did a program called Bread. അതില് bread making ഉണ്ട്. Bread making നെ പറ്റി പറയും. Then there were lectures on the history of bread, the importance of food narratives and bread narratives. അതെങ്ങനെയാണ് poverty ഒക്കെ കാണിക്കുന്നത്. There were also some competitions. Oh, you were? BMC law. Oh, how wonderful. Wow. So, I'm telling the truth. അവരെന്തോ ഡാൻസും ചെയ്തു, ബ്രെഡ് ഡാൻസ്. എനിക്ക് പിന്നെ കുറെ ഐഡിയാസ് ഉണ്ട്. ഇത് ബിഗിനിങ്. ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫ്രണ്ടിനോട് പറഞ്ഞു വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് സോപ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ബിക്കോസ് ഷീ ഈസ് എ സോപ്പ് മേക്കർ. Soap has a lot of cultural significance. എന്താണ് cleanliness? How cleanliness oppresses us, and cleanliness has a colonial angle. The social and cultural history of soap and what it means to us today. Where on the chocolate? I have also got a friend who is a chocolate maker. ചെയ്യാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് ഞാൻ. If you help me, we can do it fast. പക്ഷെ നിങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഈ നെറ്റിന്റെ ഗുലാമല്ലേ? After net. So then you will disappear. Okay. She makes absolutely melt in the mouth chocolates. ഞാൻ ഇന്നലെയും കൂടി കഴിച്ചേ ഉള്ളൂ വൈകുന്നേരം. In our business network, she brought it. Next is, അത് കുറച്ചും കൂടി സ്നിഗ്ധയ്ക്ക് ഇഷ്ടാവും. സ്നിഗ്ധ, wine. History of wine, and അതിനൊരു ഫോറിനർ വേണം എന്നാലേ പറ്റൂ. French wine, yes. എന്ത് രസമായിരിക്കും. And then I have പിന്നെ ഒരെണ്ണം ഭയങ്കര ബിഗ് ആണ്, ടീ വിത്ത് മിൽക്ക് ആൻഡ് ഹണി, മിൽക്ക് ആൻഡ് ഷുഗർ എന്നാണ് വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പിന്റെ പേര്. ഹിസ്റ്ററി ഓഫ് ടീ ആൻഡ് ടീ നറേറ്റീവ്സ്. മിൽക്ക് അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഭയങ്കര ഒരു കൊളോണിയൽ ബാക്കിംഗ് ഉള്ള ഒരു ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയാ. ഷുഗറും, ടീ വിത്ത് മിൽക്ക് ആൻഡ് ഷുഗർ. ഈസി അതൊക്കെ ചെയ്യാൻ. ഐ എം caught in this net quagmire. ഭയങ്കര രസമായിരുന്നില്ലേ ഇത്? അത്ര രസമല്ല. That's true. I remember. കുറേ ചെയ്യാം വൈന്. റിപ്പബ്ലിക് ഓഫ് വൈൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടൊരു ബുക്ക് കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ? മോയാൻ്റെ. എന്തൊക്കെയുള്ള വൈനിനെ പറ്റി. പിന്നെ എനിക്ക് വേറെ അത് മറ്റേത് ഇത്രയും രസം ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. പക്ഷെ എനിക്ക് വേറൊരു ഐഡിയ ഉള്ളത്, we should do, I want to do workshops. If you are interested, you can help and organize rivers, mountains, forests. It will be such a breaking free from the cliches of literary studies. ഞാൻ ഒരു 10 വർഷങ്ങളായിട്ട് ഇതൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് നടക്കുക, ഇതുവരെ നടന്നില്ല. ബ്രെഡ് മാത്രം നടന്നു. എന്തിനു പറ്റിയ? അത് ഫോറസ്റ്റ് പോലത്തെ ഒരു സ്ഥലത്ത് വെച്ചായിരിക്കണം ആ വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പ് നടക്കുന്നത്. യെസ്. And we should talk about literary representations of forests and their significance. ഏതെങ്കിലും എൻവയൺമെന്റലിസ്റ്റ് വരണം അവിടെ. ഇതെല്ലാം വെരി മച്ച് ഡൂവബിൾ ഫോർ us. കാരണം ഓൾറെഡി കണക്ഷൻസ് ഉണ്ട്, എല്ലാം ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമാണെങ്കിൽ. ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു വയനാട്ടിലൊക്കെയുള്ള കോളേജ് വെച്ച് ചെയ്താലും മതി. അപ്പൊ അവരെങ്ങനെ ഇൻവോൾവ് ചെയ്യാലോ. ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി എ വെരി എന്താ പറയാ സോഷ്യൽ എന്താ പറയാ കൊളാബറേഷൻ പ്രോഗ്രാം ആയിരിക്കും, കണക്ഷൻ പ്രോഗ്രാം ആയിരിക്കും. Okay, that was the break. Come back here. Online people sleeping? No, they are not sleeping. Avani, speak.
Yes.
Did you sleep?
No.
Sneha, speak. Sneha slept. Sneha.
I'm here, ma'am.
You were searching for the unmute button. Zoom user, who are you? Zoom user. Sometimes they may not be aware that they are called Zoom user. Zoom user is sleeping. Zoom user. Okay. House of Blue Mangoes, like Trotter Nama. Who wrote Trotter Nama? Like Trotter Nama, House of Blue Mangoes is the life story of generations. They struggle to preserve tradition and rise to the challenge of change. The Dore family's livelihood comes from their groves of mango trees, adallam set against colonialism, reflecting with great poignancy on the inexorable social transformations of the subcontinent. The Solitude of Emperors is based on David Davida's experiences as a journalist and the outrage that he felt at the communal riots in India. Ithaca is about publishing. It is about the world of publishing. Zachariah Thomas is a rising star in international publishing. His novels are not that important these days. Upamanyu Chatterjee, അത് ചോദിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് കുറച്ചാൾ മുമ്പ്, English August. Indian civil servant, he bases his novels on the Indian administrative system. Most of his novels focus on young Western diplomats. ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഡിപ്ലോമാറ്റിന്റെ കഥ, which is similar to his own story. His novels have a wry sense of humor, amazing language, humorous style, etc. A bureaucrat by profession, he has written short stories and 5 novels also about experiences similar to his. The assassination of Indira Gandhi, watching them. English August are famous. The Last Burden is also famous. Memories of the Welfare State is non-fiction. Non-fiction, sorry. It's a sequel to English August. weight loss, way to go. Now, English August, an Indian story, 1988. Is it same year as? Same year as Shadow Lines. The story of Agastya Sen, a westernized Indian whose thoughts are dominated by women, literature, and soft drugs. Through the novel, he portrays some serious issues that revolve around the urban educated youth and pictures the class of westernized people. The book chronicles 1 year in the life of trainee civil servant Agastya Sen. The question that came was, which of the following did he live with? And Uttaram, marijuana, women, and liquor, alcohol. Three options. I mean, 4 options with three things. Okay, last burden. It is about the lives of different people in a joined family. Expertly portraying their emotions, needs, and desires. A joint family is a kadayana. Somewhat strong language when it comes to swearing and drug culture, under lower classes proximity or the characters so last burden portrays the struggle of the new generation to move into an atomic family structure from the joint family. Joint family, they have to escape from it and move on to a nuclear family structure. Jeet Tayal. I have been with him in our car festival one time. We were sponsors, I was chairing his session. Jeet Tayal appears like a maybe 40s, man in his 40s, but actually he's 65 plus. Exactly the way and he lived abroad in Hong Kong, New York, Bombay, okay? He's reserved and he's a poet, novelist, librettist, one who writes opera lyrics. Drug culture explore hello. Yeah. Yeah. Hi. I'm good. I'm in class. Can I talk to you after? I will call you back or you will call me? Oh, fine. Okay. Yeah. So Jeet Tayal has introduced new areas of feelings. Like nobody else has written so far. He writes about drug culture and that bohemian culture. And it is very much emblematic of Keats and Baudelaire. Narcopolis is a famous novel. But then another novel, Low and Elsewhereans, that came recently. Low is about also drugs. A man who has just lost his wife is carrying her ashes and he is using drugs. Elsewhereans, engando undayirunnavar. A recent novel. Narcopolis traces the evolution of a great and broken city of narcotics across 3 decades. The story opens in Rashid's opium house on Shuklaji Street. We are drawn into the languid world of the characters. We slide in and out of their lives, emerging occasionally inside a vivid, drug-induced recollection. As the story disinherits into communal riots, murder, and mayhem, the epic tragedy of the fall of their lives is unraveled. I'm reminded when I read this novel, I was reminded of Crash by J.G. Ballard. അതും ഭയങ്കര ഒരു drug-induced symphophilic society. Car crash fetishism, ഓർമ്മയുണ്ടോ? J.G. Ballard. Then there is Vikram Chandra, Indian American writer. He wrote Red Earth, Pouring Rain, won Commonwealth Writers' Prize, inspired by the autobiography of James Skinner, a legendary 19th century Anglo-Indian soldier. Red Earth, Pouring Rain. Arundhati Roy. Let me just leave Arundhati Roy. അത് ഞാൻ വേറെ സ്പെഷ്യലി പഠിപ്പിക്കാം. I will teach you Arundhati Roy separately because അതിങ്ങനെ എല്ലാത്തിനും കൂടെ പഠിപ്പിച്ചു വെക്കില്ല. Jayashree Mishra is Malayali who lives in Trivandrum. She is the granddaughter of Thakri Shivashankara Pillai. Thakri Shivashankara Pillai's granddaughter ആണ്. Ancient Promises was a bestseller. Over a dozen novels have followed, and she has also edited an anthology on motherhood. Ancient Promises bestseller ഒക്കെ ആണെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് ഇഷ്ടമില്ല. അതില് she writes her own story of how she was a teenager. She fell in love with a boy in New Delhi. They were അമ്മയും അച്ഛനും എല്ലാവരും, their parents did not allow her to pursue with that affair. പിടിച്ചു വലിച്ച at a very young age, they got her married to some random rich man. ആ റാൻഡം റിച്ച് മാൻ ശരിക്കും എന്താ മുത്തൂറ്റല്ലല്ലോ, അതുപോലെ ഒരു വലിയ ബിസിനസ് ഫാമിലിയാ. ആൻഡ് disaster. She was so traumatized in the marriage. She got a girl child who was autistic or deaf and dumb. I read this when I was doing my PhD. And then she left that husband, went to the UK, did special education training, looked after her daughter, met again the boy whom she had loved in Delhi and married him. Ancient Promises. Why I don't like it is because അതിനകത്തൊരു എന്താ പറയണ്ട, ഒരു ഡിസ്റ്റൻസ് ഇല്ല. I mean, when you write your own story, you should be the author, not the person who, not just the person who lived that life. അതിനകത്ത് കുറച്ചിങ്ങനെ സെൽഫ് ജസ്റ്റിഫിക്കേഷൻ, ഒരു കുറച്ച് ഇമ്മച്യൂരിറ്റി ഉണ്ട് അതിനകത്ത്. I mean, a lot of great authors would write their life lightheartedly commenting on it, criticizing himself or herself, as if somebody else is writing about it. Anganathe oru critical distance is important, a detachment. This being a first novel, perhaps, adathrakilla. Because she is Thagari's granddaughter, we'll expect. But then she improved. പിന്നെ എന്താണ് പറയേണ്ടത്? Accidents like Love and Marriage afterwards, I have not read. But Rani is a good, Janaki എന്നാണ് സ്ത്രീയുടെ കുട്ടിയുടെ പേര്. Janaki from a Keralite family grows up in Delhi, falls in love as a teenager. Arranged marriage കിട്ടും. The marriage was a disaster. Mentally handicapped daughter was born. Seeing the prejudice her child faced, She moved to the UK, came into contact with her childhood sweetheart. Files for divorce. Rani is the fictionalized autobiography of Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi. She shows the transformation of an intelligent young girl into the fiery queen that we know. It was banned in Uttar Pradesh. Mahashweta Devi has also written a fictionalized biography of the queen. Okay. Now, Amit Chaudhary was a musician. He's a musician. He is a Hindustani singer. Indian English author and academic, awarded the Sahitya Academy Award for A New World. Because he is a musician, he has written a lot about music as well. A Strange and Sublime Address, Afternoon Rag, Freedom Song. Odysseus Abroad is a circadian novel. What is a circadian novel? 24 hours and novel. The New World is the famous novel that got Sahitya Academy Award. The New World is about Jayojit Chatterjee. He comes from America to Kolkata with his son Bonnie. And there are now the experiences again. And for the first time, he is getting to know his son also, while he gets to know Calcutta once again. Jayojit Chatterjee. The Immortals is the story of a man, a voice teacher, falling in love with his student. Odysseus Abroad is about an Indian man in New York. He's out on his limousine. And what happens that day? Tarun Tejpal. ഈ കാട്ടാനകളൊക്കെ ഇങ്ങനെ കൂട്ടായിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ പോകുമ്പോഴേ നമ്മൾ മാറിക്കിടാ അത് പോണ വഴി. അതുപോലെ എന്റെ സൈനസ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഇറങ്ങി പോവാ. Okay. The Alchemy of Desire. അതിനകത്ത് ഒരു മണ്ടൻ കഥയാ. ചെയ്തോ എപ്പോ? പാതാൾ ലോകിന്റെ കഥയാണ്. സ്റ്റോറി ഓഫ് മൈ അസാസിൻസ്. സുകേതു മേത്ത എന്താ എഴുതിയ? മാക്സിമം സിറ്റി. വില്യം ഡാൽറിംബിൾ എന്താ എഴുതിയ? ഇതൊക്കെ ചെയ്തോ നമ്മള്? ഓക്കെ. ഇവിടെ ഇല്ല. William Dalrymple is not a novelist. He has written a lot of history books. White Mughals ഭയങ്കര famous ആണ്. White Mughals is the tragic love story of an it's a novelist ആണ്, പക്ഷെ ഒരു എന്താ പറയാ ഹിസ്റ്റോറിക്കൽ ഫിക്ഷൻ ആണ്. കുറെ ഇങ്ങനെ ഹിസ്റ്ററി പോലെയാണ് എഴുതാം. East India Company officer and a Hyderabadi princess are in love. White Mughals ഉണ്ട്, ലാസ്റ്റ് മുഗൾ ഉണ്ട്. ഓരോരോ അവാർഡ്സ് ഒക്കെ കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട് അവർക്ക്. അതൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് നോക്കി നോക്കൂ. കപ്പുസിൻസ്കി അവാർഡ്. The Return of a King is also famous. 9 lives ഞാൻ വായിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. It's about 9 people. Explorations throughout India ആണ് കാണിക്കുന്നത്. 9 lives. അതിനകത്തൊരു കഥകളി ആക്ടറും ഉണ്ട്, കണ്ണൂരില. Finally, Anita Nair. Better Man, Ladies Coupe, Mistress, Lessons in Forgetting, Cut Like Wound, Idris, Keeper of the Light. ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് കുറച്ച് novels. Ladies Coupe is about a group of women traveling in the train to Kanyakumari, and they tell each other their stories. Akhila is the Tamil Brahmin woman who is the protagonist. The novels are given in wrong chronology here in the encyclopedia. Sorry for that. After Ladies Coupe, there is Mistress. അതിനകത്തും ഉണ്ടൊരു കഥകളി actor, dancer. Koman, a Kathakali dancer. His niece is Radha. Christopher Stewart, one American, comes and gets very close to Radha and her husband also, Sham. Yeah. ഞാനൊരു എയർപോർട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് വായിച്ച കഥയാണത്, ബുക്കാണ്. I remember buying it. പിന്നെ അവിടെ reading it. Lessons in Forgetting. Two lonely people, Meera and J.A.K., Krishnamurti, find that their lives are getting intertwined. Lessons in Forgetting. Not that important. Cut Like Wound, it's a detective novel. Borei Gowda is the detective that she created. Borei Gowda. Jerry Pinto. Jerry Pinto is a Mumbai-based Indian writer. He is from Goa. Goan Maharashtrian. He writes widely and engagingly on a range of subjects. Very important these days because he translates Dalit literature. He has written about mental illness. Very committed writer. Baluta. Translate idu. The Life and Times of an H-Bomb. I love that title. Helen, Helen, that sexy actress, early actress of Bollywood. Life and Times of an H-Bomb. His collection of poems, Asylum and other poems, he wrote Confronting Love along with Arundhati Subramaniam, edited along with Arundhati Subramaniam. Arundhati Subramaniam is a major Indian poet these days. When God is a traveler, was a traveler. God is a was a. When God is a traveler. She got a Sahitya Academy Award for it. Leela Naidu ne patitana. Leela. M and the Big Whom is what actually shot him into prominence. Apparana ellaru ariyan thodangiyey. Quite a well-written novel. M and the Big Whom is the story of a boy growing up in Mumbai with a mentally ill mother. Mental illness he has written a lot. This is one. Big Whom is the father. Mumbai life aanu kanikkunnathu. He has edited a book about people who care for the mentally ill. And the Book of Light. Please note down. I'll tell you correctly. Is it given there? Evidence. Book of Light. When a loved one has a different mind. Collection of stories from people who recount their experiences of living with loved ones with a mental illness. Jhumpa Lahiri, Nilanjana Sudheshna Lahiri, known by the name Jhumpa Lahiri, was born in 1967 in London. Then she went to America and then she married started living with an Italian So she left English and then started writing in Italian. Her 2003 novel Namesake is what made her very famous. It was adapted into a movie as well. Irfan Khan. Then Interpreter of Maladies is a collection of short stories. Interpreter of Maladies. Another collection of short stories is Unaccustomed Earth. Satyamana, I find it very simple. Unaccustomed Earth. Okay. But there is nothing wrong in being simple. It's on the other end of the spectrum compared to Amitav Ghosh and Salman Rushdie. But novels are a little more complex. In Canada, maybe it's my prejudiced reading. The Namesake, the lowland. Lowland is somewhat very good novel actually. Namesake is about Ashok and Ashima Ganguly. They have got married. They are in the US. They have 2 children. Their son is called Gogol because in memory of a time when Ashok was reading Gogol's book, collected stories when there was a train accident. This guy, Gogol, grows up frustrated with his Indian roots and he is not appreciating his culture. But at the end, he learns to appreciate his culture when he rediscovers his roots. Andana, in a nutshell. That is the Namesake. Subhash Mitra and his brother Udayan are the protagonists in Lowland. Subhash goes to the United States, while Udayan joins the Naxalite movement. About the brothers are at two ends of culture. With the lowest and the other with the biggest. I mean, the richest. Okay, so we have finished that section. Arundhati Roy remains, and now section 3 is there. I'll need one more day to do that and quickly go through popular fiction. Right? I might want to do Arundhati Roy together with the other batches. Which could be online. If I am here, they will be on. If I am there, you will be on. Okay? But rest I'll teach you like this in person. So don't worry about all the things that we went through. Just do skimming and scanning, and we have to sit down and revise it. When other people revise Preeti or Rasreen, okay, they only lay the foundation. Yan revise exam ready. That's very important. They are asking a lot of unnecessary things also. Exam I can only do that then, after we finish the portions. So we'll wait for that. Anyway, this foundation that you get, and we'll also do physically, physically means actual questions or just statement types. Confusion. Okay? So I'll end the session now. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Bye.